So today we are going to be replacing door hinges on my 1999 Jeep Cherokee Classic. I've seen videos of other ones done on the earlier models, but I haven't seen anything done on the 97 through 2001. So here's the problem. You take the door, you lift up on it, try and get a nice good view of it tight. You lift up on it. I don't know if you can see that, but the hinge is flopping around quite a bit. Try and hold the camera steady. In any case, so the door flops up and down, and so right in here is a pin. That's actually the sleeve, and then this pin right there goes all the way through. And so what I've got here is a kit. I believe I got these off of Amazon. Just some door pins. It comes with a pin, a sleeve, a couple of grommets, and an E-clip. And so we're going to go ahead and swap out both the top and the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a center punch, and I'm going to tap a little centering spot right there. And I'm going to try and drill that out with progressively larger size drill bits. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to support the door. So what I've got here, it's got a large jack stand, and it just so happens that I can raise it up so that it will support the door. Now I'm going to have an assistant out here to help me hold it. So I've got my daughter Sydney here, and she's going to help me stabilize the door, even though I've got something supporting it. So since most of this needs two hands, I'm also going to have her help me with the camera. So let's get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to center up this punch. We're going to get a nice spot to drill. Now if you don't center up your punch real well, that sleeve wants to spin on you. And so I'm going to try one more time here. Well, it's still spinning, so I need to move over to the left. It's kind of an awkward position to hold the punch. On a crack there, but there we go. I think we got a good one. Alright, so we're going to start out with a smaller drill bit. Well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pair of pliers, and we're going to turn that sleeve a little bit so it's more square. Otherwise I'm going to end up twist or getting the drill bit off center. So we're going to pause, and I'll come back in just a minute. View of it. So we started out with a 1/8 inch drill bit and got a hole all the way through it, and now we're going to step it up to a larger size and go from there. Alright, there we are with a 3/16 inch hole. That one went a lot faster. And now we'll go ahead and step it up again. Alright, so now things are starting to move along quite a bit quicker. That 1/4 inch bit just went right through it. So we're going to go ahead and step it up again. So I can focus on the hole. There you go. So we'll step it up again, and at this point I'm having my daughter hold the door just so it doesn't flop around too much. The jack stand's going to support the weight, but as soon as that hinge goes, then it's going to really flop. So alright, here we go for the next size. Alright, I'm going to try and do the action shot here as we go with a 3/8 inch drill bit. As you can see, that one went super fast. Alright, I'm going to try and give you a close-up here of what a 3/8 inch bit does. I can't even get my camera in there, my phone. But I don't know if you can see it, it's got the hole a little bit off center. And so now I'm drilling more into the sleeve than I am the actual pin. So we're going to go ahead and still step it up to a 7/16 inch and see if I can get that through there, but that may blow out the side before it actually cuts the pin, but we'll give it a shot. Alright, well, as suspected, the 7/16 inch bit blew out the side as opposed to actually drilling all the way through the pin. So I think what we're going to have to do now is grab some snips or something like that and take the other half, or the other little bit of that metal hanging on the side of that thing, and see if we can just snip that all the way through, and then we're going to try and pry it out from the top and the bottom. So here we go. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that, but a pair of tin snips just snipped right through that like it was nothing. No big deal there. Got the rest of it out. So now I'm going to go grab a little pry bar, and we're going to try and pry that thing out. Alright, I'll try and get a good picture of this. But I got a little pry bar in there, and I'm just prying away. You can see that top starting to come up a little bit there. I'm probably going to need to wedge 2 different pry bars. I got such a large gap there. But they're starting to come away. I don't know if you can see the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but it's yeah, starting to enlarge, so it's coming out. Alright, so that definitely worked. Kind of broke the little grip that pin had. You can see that pin starting to come up nicely now. The bottom's still in there. So what I'm going to try and do is grab that top piece of pin and slide it out. I think as long as that bottom piece is in there, the door is going to be pretty stable. It may still be stable even with the door check in place, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. Let's try the fingers. Okay, just like that. Go. There's the top half of the pin. It's gone. And the top half of the sleeve's out. So now we just gotta, I think my punch is gonna be, it's gonna be too big to fit down in there. I may go get a drift and tap that thing out from the top. So I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, not sure if this is gonna work or not. It's something I'm trying. It's kind of hard to get in there, but I've got a punch in the bottom. And I've got a punch on top. I'm going to try and hit it from the other side. See if we can pop that thing the rest of the way through. Definitely got some weird angles we're dealing with here. Try not to make a mess of the body while we're at it. Is it moving? I don't know if that's even moving. Alright. we might try something different. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Alright, so what we've realized here is the little sleeve that goes around them. This little guy, here's the top half. These things are actually plastic. So what I've found seems to be working, and we're going to give it a go, is I just took this little pry bar here with a pointed end on it, set it into that plastic, hit it from the bottom side, and that sleeve starts coming up here. I should probably grab it with a smaller pry bar now. Get it under there. Lift it up out of place. I think once we get that sleeve out of there, maybe it'll lessen the resistance on that pin. Almost off. Come on, sucker. There we go. So we got the bottom half of the sleeve out now. So hopefully that pin will come out a little easier. Okay, we'll give that another go. Well, it's starting to work. Yeah, we're just about there. Yeah, so the body on this XJ isn't the greatest, but we're trying to not make it any worse for sure. So being real careful not to ding up with the punch or the hammer. It's about to pop free. Here we go. It popped free. So actually that worked out to be a really good way to do this, because that punch is in there and it prevents the door from falling all the way through. So while I've got my daughter holding the camera so you can see this, if you're doing this by yourself, that'd be a great way to make sure that the door's still stable. Bet. Just wiggle this door a little bit. The rest of that pin might just fall out. Maybe. Couldn't be that lucky. It's barely hanging in there, so we'll tap it the rest of the way out, and I'll be back here in just a minute as soon as we are ready to install the new pin. Alright, so I've been looking this thing over here, and I just realized that, let's see if I can get you in there to see, the factory bushing is located in between the halves of the hinge. You can just see it there on the top of the hinge. So there's going to be one in between the something to point with here. Okay, so there's gonna be one right up in here, and then you can also see there's one right there, and that goes in between these two halves here, so it gives it softer metal than the steel to write on. So I think what we're gonna actually have to do here is we're gonna have to take off the check, and then we're gonna have to drill out the bottom one as well. so that I can get this door moved far enough apart so that we can get that bushing out of there. I might be able to go ahead and do it for the top here without taking the door all the way off. But man, doing that bottom one, that's going to be a real chore without the door all the way disconnected. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to replace both of these at the same time, just to make sure we've got it all done the right way. So I think the best way to do it is just go ahead and take the door off. What I don't want to do is I don't want to disconnect all the wiring, because they go way up into the door and it's a chore to take all the trim off. I think the easiest way to do this is just have a good way to support the door, and just disconnect both hinges and the check, and we'll have this door off of here, and we'll replace all these bushings and pins and whatnot, and we'll be on with our... Okay, so I don't really know what the difference was in that lower pin versus the upper pin, but it was definitely some sort of hardened steel. I went through several different drill bits, made sure I had brand new drill bits. It wouldn't hardly even touch it. So I just spent about the past 10 minutes with a reinforced blade on a Dremel, and it's kind of hard to get it in the right angle, but basically did like that with it, and finally cut through it. So then I was able to take a pry bar, get it up in there, smack the end of it with a hammer, and it finally, as you can kind of see there, the pin's finally up. So we've cut through that pin. I've had that little punch up there as holding the upper hinge in place temporarily. So now we'll go ahead and remove the rest of this. So it kind of dawned on me a little bit ago that it might have been easier. I might have had a little bit more room to go in here, and you can see there's these Torx bolts on the hinge. Go ahead and take the door off that way. You might get a little more room to work in there if you can kind of set the door aside. But I didn't really have a good way of propping the door up on itself. I got my daughter here to kind of help keep it steady, but I don't want it sitting on that jack stand any more than I need to. I just don't want to screw the door up anymore. So anyways, this is the way I decided to go about it. So we're going to go ahead and get this hinge, or this pin, the rest of the way out of here, and we'll go from there. Alright, so what we got now is we've got both hinge pins popped out, and I've gone ahead and pulled the door away, and it is sitting on 2 jack stands now. And so now we can go ahead and start taking these old bushings out and getting it all cleaned up, getting the new ones in. So here we go. Alright, I'm going to go on record and say this right now. I'm a little nervous about this because as you can see here, here's all the old pieces. This right here is it's a piece of some sort of nylon or some sort of plastic insert that was inside one of these old brass bushings. So the new ones didn't come with that. So I'm hoping that these new ones are going to be tight fitting enough. I was testing one of them a little while ago here, and maybe when you install them they'll be a little tighter fitting, but you can kind of see they wiggle around a little bit. Not sure how tight of a fit that's really going to be, but we won't know until we go ahead and put it in. Dry fitting it, it's pretty loose. But so what I used to pull the old bushings out with was just a little chisel. Just kind of got in there and was able to pry them up, both on the top and down here on the bottom, both hinges, and they came out pretty easy. No major stress. So let's go ahead and start installing the new ones. Alright, so I got the first bushing in, and as suspected, it's still pretty loose in there. Not very happy with that. I was really hoping that was going to snug up quite a bit more than that, but it's not. So, not really sure what to do just yet. But I'm going to think about it for a little bit and come back. Okay, so getting the little pins to align and getting those sleeves all in there in the right spot is a bit of a trick. It took a little bit of time. It actually wasn't that hard, it's just time consuming. What really helps is if you've got some sort of alignment tool like this to put in there. If you don't, even a little punch or something like that to hold one hinge while you're doing the other is really helpful. Got most of it back together, as you can see. Having a little difficulty getting these hinge pins to go all the way home. I'm trying not to hammer on them too much because I don't want too much down force going on this hinge, which is welded to the body. It's a unibody truck, and hammer on it too hard might tend to pull that thing away from the body. So I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But as you can see, I got the check back in place. We got the other pin. So here's the problem with the lower pin. It's not all the way home just yet, and it's not enough to get that E-clip on the end of the groove on there. I don't know what I mean by E-clip, one of those guys. So the top, it's not that big a deal because I went in from the top down, but the bottom, the harness for the electrical components for the door gets in the way, so you can't really go in through the top very well unless you were to pull all that out of the way. So I went in through the bottom, and anyway, so I'm just going to work on that a little bit more and kind of finesse it in. If you're interested, here is what some of the old pieces look like. You can see this one's cut at an angle because I had to use that Dremel. I don't know, again, why that one was so much tighter than the, or harder steel than the upper one was, but the upper one drilled out pretty nice, so that was a good way to go about it. Again, these little plastic sleeves are pretty easy to work with, not a big deal there. Before I lose that other E-clip. Yeah. So I guess actually what you might want to know is did it work? And I'm happy to say it did. I think once the splined ends on that pin goes down inside that bushing, it seats down a lot better. The nice thing is the door now opens and closes really nice. It's not flopping around at all, so I guess actually it was a success. So thanks for watching.